Hello, in this video, we'll quickly discuss the questions of quiz 3 and quiz 4. So you can see that the first two questions are from quiz 3 and the last question is from quiz 4. So now if I discuss about the question number one, then it's very easy and straightforward. Nothing to discuss here. So I most of you have done it correctly. Only I found only three people who have just written the function definition as it is written in book. No extra thing is written. I have not given marks for them because at least you should explain what is DUP2. If you just write whatever exactly written in book and the same program that is written you just copied it from book, then it's not necessary that it is correct, right? So I have not given you any marks for this. Remaining all, I think, except these two three people, remaining for all of you I have given, I think, almost full mark. Almost everyone have got 2 marks here, so that is fine. So before discussing question number 2, let me first discuss question number 3. Again, for question number 3, I think only this is the opposite of question number 1. Why? Because here only I think hardly one or two people done it correctly. And that too, till now I have not completed checking. Till now I have checked 20 papers. Out of these 20 people, only two have has only the two people what can say your approach was correct, but it is not completely correct. So I don't till now I have not found any completely correct solution. Only two guys you've done it. Your approach was correct. So what should be the correct solution for this? So what is the most important thing that was written in bold means your server should always ready to accept a new connection. So now after understanding the concept of threading, you know how to write it, how to do it, right? Using thread. But at that time when I have given this question, thread was not discussed in class. So what was I was expecting that you have to solve it without using thread. And most of you, even after making it bold, you have completely ignored this part and you have just written the code that is written in book. So that is very surprising. Even you have not tried at all, just you have written this code. So I have given you 2 marks. You have written all this thing, but you have skipped the important part, that how to handle this point, that the server should be always ready for a new connection. Basically, it's also proves that you have not read the book properly, because at the beginning of chapter 12 I said there are two parts at the beginning of chapter 12 that I have skipped, and I have start from thread. And what I said, that first two part you can read if you want. So if you have read these two part, there is the solution of this is given in chapter 12. In chapter 12, before starting threading, there is a program given here which can do the same thing. But you cannot complain me, sir, this you have not explained, because it was expected from your side that since you know how to create child process, since you know what is the purpose of for, at least based on this knowledge you should be able to write this question, answer this question. So what is the exact answer? Exact answer is, every time here, see, in while loop, this server should be every time always ready here in accept. So what if there is if you write a simple program that the most of you have written, after this accept you are calling echo. So if you after accept, if you call echo, then the program will the control is in echo, and the server is not ready to accept a new connection until it's returned from echo. So this that is not a correct solution. The correct solution is, after accepting a new connection, create another process, create a child process, and the child process is responsible for communicating with the client, and the server process will again, parent process will again come back here, and it will wait for the next client. So that is the first approach. So this approach was correct for two people, as I said till now. So I can say at least five if I assume that there are 10 more papers I have to check, so I can say 2 3 people have done it correctly. This approach is fine, but this approach is not enough, because it's not a thread, it's a fork. So if fork means it will create a completely new child. The moment it will create a new child, this listen fd, the client fd, and there is a listen fd also, right? Listen fd will also copy, because everything here in main file, everything will be copied. So listen fd will be also copied. So immediately you have to close the listen fd in client. That is the most important part. If you don't close, then there will be uh, uh, two places the listen FD will listen. So that's why immediately you have to close listen FD after creating the child process, and then you can call echo. After this, you have to close the connection FD here, and the same connection FD you have to close in parent also. So that is another part. Then the third part is how about the zombie processes? Because once this process is done, this child process is done executing, the parent process has to handle this. Otherwise, how it is possible? But if you write somewhere while loop here, then it is not possible to handle it, isn't it? So better way to handle it is to use a signal handler. If you go for a signal handler, then every time a child process will terminate in parent, this signal handler will call and it will rip this process, the child process. So this code is written in book, but at least I was expecting that even if you don't follow this, at least you should have written some part, at least this part. Even this wait PID, maybe I was assuming that you will write some statement here with no hang, but it was also fine. But you have completely ignored all these things. Even you never thought about using a fork. So this question is not correct. So many of almost all of you have done it wrong. Okay. So now let us move to question number two. Question number two was also very easy, and most of you again your approach was correct. So there are two type of mistake you did. First mistake is directory reading and file reading is fine for most of you. First mistake, some of you have ignored this point that if this is a directory, then you have to ignore this point. You have to write a if statement, and you have to write a continue statement that you have some most at least two three or I think five six to I have found not written this. So this part is missing. -1 will be deducted if you have done this. Okay. Second problem is most of you have done the time displaying the last access time is fine for most of you, but for permissions, what you have to do this for printing permission, you have to write a little bit longer code, and many of you have done it correctly. That see, there are different types of permissions, right? User write, user read, user execution, then group read, group write, group execution. There are 3 plus 3 plus 3, 9 different types of permission, and then you have to print all. So you have to write at least 9 lines of code for all the permissions. But many of you have not done this. So if the marking was like this, that if you have printed only time and you have not touched permission, then 1 mark. You have written time and directories and not touched permission, or there is permission is not complete, then 2 marks. Okay. And if you have written completely, means this directory part is also there, access time is also printing, and all the permissions are also printing, then I have given you 3 marks. So I hope it is clear. Dupe 2 is normal, nothing to do here. Everyone has done is almost correctly. Here, permission part, if permission part is not complete, if you have printed only 1 or 2 permission, then 2 marks, not full mark. Last access time is done by almost everyone. Okay. And if directory is ignored, then also I have deducted 1 mark. Okay. And this one, you have to use a fork and this type of commands. You have to close the listen fd here, you have to close this file descriptor here, as well as in parent also. I have, if you go down, you will see the parent. In parent also they are closing it, and you need to handle, you have to reap all this child process and all. So this was a little bit complicated code, but I was expecting that at least you will do something to do, means make this code working. But unfortunately, many of you have not done it correctly. But anyway, these two are for quiz 3, and this two is for quiz. Sorry, these two are quiz 4. Okay, and so when I'll upload the PDF of each of your quiz, let me open Notepad. So by tomorrow, I think tomorrow 12 or I think tomorrow evening, I'll upload all your this quiz answer script, and then you can check it. So in your PDF, the marks will be given like this: x comma y. So x is the marks of quiz 3, and y will be the marks of quiz 5. Sorry, quiz 4. So I hope this is clear to all of you. And so by tomorrow evening, you will get your all the answer script of quiz 3 and 4. Check, verify it, and let me know if you have any problem. So same as the quiz 1 and 2, I'll mail you the PDF. So if you have any doubt, you reply me in that mail only. and I think fifth evening, fifth evening I'll send you your answer paper also in the same fashion, and you have to check, and if you have any query you have to reply in the same way. Okay, so I'm stopping the video here. Thank you.